Welcome to our Zoho Books and Postal Methods tutorial. The first thing we're going to want to do is go to our Zoho Books portal, and we're going to start off by going to the gearbox in the top right hand corner, because we want to make sure that the email address that's set in our profile is the same email address that we're using in our Postal Methods account. So in this case here, we go down here and we see the sender is derek.roses@gmail.com. Okay, so if you'll notice, if I go to my Postal Methods account, we're going to see that the email address that I chose, or I'm using rather, is derek.roses@gmail.com. So we see those two things need to match. They need to be the exact same email account. Now that we have confirmed this, let's go back to our gear in the top right hand corner, and we need to modify a template that's going to work for when that is sent to us. It'll fit in a number 10 envelope. So more than likely in your case, you're going to have here by itself this standard template that is in there. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to edit this template. And at this point you can choose to label it something differently. You can choose to label it maybe Postal Methods to just remind you what this is for. Once you've done that, you want to make sure that this is changed, because right now I have already changed it, but in your case it won't say 0.3, but you want to make it say 0.3. Make that change, and you can click Save. It's going to go back into Edit. I want to make sure this is also the case if you go to Transaction Details. Bill to is checked, but in this case here, the format, I want to make sure it looks just like this here, where you have the contact name, display name, the address, and then the city, state, and zip code is all lined up together. So just make sure it looks like that if you could. And once we've done that, it's already good. So we like that. So in this case, we're good. We can go ahead and do save again. Additionally, before you leave, you want to make sure that that template that you have modified, that you set it as the default template from that point forward. Okay, so once we've done that, let's go ahead and go close the settings. Okay, now we're back to the main part of the portal. We want to go next to our customer. So let's go to Sales, go to Customer, select the customer, because one of the things we have to do in this section here is we have to add an additional contact for the customer. Let me explain why. Let's go to Edit, and automatically any email correspondence that's going to go out from Zoho is going to go to the email address associated with that particular contact. Of course, that's obviously how it's going to be. However, another email needs to also be sent to postalmethods.com with that PDF template invoice so that we can print it for you. In order to accomplish this, we're going to need to add a contact person. So, for instance, in this case here, this normally would not be here. You would need to add contact person, and you can even name it the same name as the individual who this is supposed to be for. So this is John Tester. We'll just add John Tester again, and I'm not going to do it here because it's already been done, but you add John Tester, the name, then the email address, which is the important part, is send@letter.postalmethods.com. Once you've done that, then you can click Save, and that would now be saved for future use. So let's go ahead and move on. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this since I have already done it here, but I'm going to show you how it's going to come into play in just a moment. Now that you've added that extra contact person and that email address, now we can go back over here to Sales, and let's go ahead and go to Invoices. Now in this case, we're going to create a new invoice. So let's go ahead and select John Tester, which is the individual that we added the extra contact person. Fill out the necessary details to complete the invoice. Now, in the bottom here, you notice that that extra person is added here, John Tester, with the additional email address that we added. But you have to check the box in order for that to go through. Once you've done this, this will be done for moving forward from that point on. Whenever you send an invoice out, it'll include the extra email to sender@letter.postalmethods.com. All right, so we've accomplished this. Let's go ahead and do save and send. Okay, another important point to remember is that this also is clicked attach invoice PDF. That's also important because without that, then Postal Methods will not be sent anything whenever it does go out. So now that we've accomplished this, now we can click send, and this will be sent to postalmethods.com. So let's go ahead and go to our Postal Methods, and we'll wait for it to arrive. Go to process documents. Okay, it's already arrived here, and now, as you know, we need to wait for it to finish processing, so we will refresh as needed to get that to process through. And while we're waiting on that, I do want to go back and show you something, because as you notice, in this particular case, we chose this particular individual to receive, or rather to send the invoice to Postal Methods to send out a letter to them, a physical invoice to them. Now, you would do this for every customer you want to receive a paper invoice every month. Now, let's say, for instance, in your case, you decide that you want all of your customers to receive a paper invoice. So in that case, you don't have to go to the extra step of adding the extra contact person and putting that in there. Instead, what you could do in that case, again, this is only if you want all of your customers to always get a paper invoice. Go back here to gear, go to email notifications, and we're going to go to show mail content. In this case here, you're going to add in the BCC spot the send at letter.postalmethods.com. Once you've done that, make sure this is set this to default and click on save. And that'll automatically send all the PDFs that you send out through Zoho for the invoices to us without having to add the extra person per customer. But again, that's only if you by default want all of your customers to get a paper copy of the invoice. But if not, if you want only certain individuals to get it, then you would need to do it the way we did it before, and just make sure you add an extra contact person with that email address, and that'll go to us. Now let's go back to our Postal Methods account, and we will refresh this and wait for it to come through here. Okay, so now that it has populated, we see everything has gone through, everything's green check mark, everything's valid, and it'll process here at this price point. So it's a relatively easy process, and once you get everything set up and in place, and from that point forward, it should be very simple to send documents to us to print and mail for you. Now keep in mind, there is another way of doing this that works with your software. Using API, it integrates with our software. Using your software, that is a possibility. But for those who choose to just go directly without the use of merging software, this is another option. But either way, it's a great way. The other way, it can be very simple as well. And just keep that in mind. But either way, we certainly appreciate you reviewing this tutorial, but always feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you so much.